what I saw that night. I saw it. I thought I was either dreaming or having some kind of hallucination.
That thing must have been at least 8 foot tall, maybe taller. Very athletic looking, very muscular. I would say the arms were 3 feet across.
And I seen this thing crossing the road, and it looked like it was probably 7.5 feet tall, maybe. And I mean, this thing was huge.
And welcome back to Squatch Ranger Files, episode 64, Eyes in the Dark and Voices in the Daylight. And like always, we have expanded the show to the Spotify for Creators platform, and we are very excited to be here. Spotify for Creators helps the show reach Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and many more. We hope to grow our audience and are able to continue to bring you the latest Bigfoot reports from around the country. The show has also been added to the Amazon Music app under the podcast section. We are also very excited to be a part of the Amazon community. If you are a new listener to the show, welcome. You are now an official Squatch Ranger. Your duties include have an open mind, ask questions, trust but confirm, and always seek the truth. Thanks for joining the show. And I've been recently promoting my TikTok channel. If you're enjoying the episodes, make sure to follow Squatch Ranger on TikTok, where I post short clips, report highlights, and behind-the-scenes research updates. And if you'd like to support this project and gain access to extended content, early episodes, and exclusive research material, you can find me on Patreon. Your support helps keeps this research going and these stories documented. Before we get into tonight's reports, I want to take a moment to tell you about something brand new I'm excited to share. I've officially launched the Squatch Ranger online t-shirt store over on TeePublic. If you're into Bigfoot, cryptids, and that deeper side of belief, these designs were made with you in mind. Faith, Bigfoot, and belief all in one design. Just go to teepublic.com and search Squatch Ranger. It's a perfect blend of faith, mystery, and the Squatch life. These designs are available on high-quality shirts, hoodies, stickers, and more, with multiple color options and comfortable fits. Whether you're out in the woods, at a conference, or just repping Squatch culture day to day, there's something there for you. To check it out, head over to teepublic.com and search Squatch Ranger. Your support helps keep Squatch Ranger Files going and allows me to continue bringing you the real reports, the real witnesses, and the real encounters. That's teepublic.com, search Squatch Ranger. Or, for a direct link to my t-shirt store, I'll also provide my store's link in the show notes and the description of this video. And as always, thank you for supporting the show. Next, I want to take a moment to talk about something that comes up constantly in the field: misidentified tracks. This photo was recently shared in a Bigfoot Facebook group and was described as magical by the hiker who found it deep in the Montana backcountry. And I get it. Finding a clear trackway in a remote area feels significant, but this is actually a textbook example of bear tracks, not Bigfoot. And it's a great learning opportunity. The first giveaway is the toe orientation. In one of these prints, you can clearly see the largest digit, the big toe, positioned on the outside of the foot. That is a classic bear trait. Bears have an outward-facing hallux. Humans, and by extension, any human, like primates such as Bigfoot, have the big toe on the inside of the foot. That anatomical detail alone rules out Bigfoot here. The second clue is the trackway pattern. These prints are off-centered and slightly staggered, not walking heel to toe in a straight line. Many alleged Bigfoot tracks show a more linear, straight-line gait, especially in longer trackways. Bears tend to waddle slightly, creating a wandering or offset pattern like what we see here. Third, you can clearly see front and rear prints. Bears are quadrupeds most of the time, and their trackways often show paired or altering front and back paw impressions. Bigfoot reports, when credible, almost always describe a single set of large repeating bipedal footprints, not two different print shapes in sequence. So while this trackway is impressive and absolutely wild to stumble upon in the Montana backcountry, it's not Bigfoot. It's a bear doing bear things. And understanding why helps us protect the credibility of real Bigfoot research. Alright, that brings us to listener comments from previous episodes. This comes from Squatch Ranger Files, episode 63. This comment comes from Seminole War. And he says, well, near Durant in October of 1997, I was with a group at Fort Washita helping them out with the nighttime ghost tour and stories that they used to have as a park fundraiser. We would take the group through a short stretch in the woods, where there was a wooden footbridge over a small ravine, not far from the lake shore where some crazy things have happened in the past. First group, no problem. This was around 8 or 9 p.m. Second group, a plank on the bridge was busted out that wasn't there earlier. I helped people across the bridge so no one went through the hole. The hole had bits of wood from the plank that was busted out, showing that great weight had crushed the board and busted it through there. It was not caused by any people, and none of us passed through between the first and second group. I told the park caretaker about the bridge, and he quickly went and nailed a piece of plywood over the hole. His response was that it was some cow that wandered on the property. Well, I did programs at that park until 2010 and never saw loose cattle wandering on the property. I always wondered if it was one of the big guys following the group out of curiosity. I had other strange experiences at Fort Towson, sleeping on the ground in 1999 while getting ready for another event, where I heard strange whistles in the middle of the night. They were loud and unlike anything I have ever heard. Thank you so much, Seminole War, for writing in. Thank you for sharing that really interesting experience from the late 1990s near Fort Washita and Fort Towson. You were helping with the nighttime ghost tours, walking groups across a wooden footbridge, when between the first and second group, without anyone passing through, a plank on that bridge was suddenly crushed and busted out. You noted splintered wood and damage consisted with a great amount of weight, not foot traffic. And what really stands out is that explanation you were given, that it was a cow. Even though you worked that park for years afterward and never once saw loose cattle wandering the property, I'll tell you this. One of the things I always wish we could do with older cases like this is go back in time with today's field knowledge. I can't help but think about the broken edges of that board, the splintered wood, the jagged points. If something large stepped through that bridge, there's a real possibility that hair could have been caught or snagged along those edges. Today, investigators would have photographed it, bagged the area, and checked for hair or trace evidence. But unfortunately, back then, that kind of thinking just wasn't common yet. You also mentioned something else that really caught my attention. The whistling you heard years later while sleeping on the ground near Fort Towson. Loud, unnatural whistles in the middle of the night that didn't sound like anything you've heard before. That's important because whistling is actually one of the most commonly reported vocalizations in Bigfoot encounters. Research across North America have documented accounts of clear, intentional whistles, sometimes single tones, sometimes call and response, often used as a form of communication or signaling within a group. Now, I'm not saying that's definitely what you experienced, but I am saying your observations line up with patterns reported by many other credible witnesses over the years. Experiences like yours are exactly why we encourage people to share their stories, even decades later. Sometimes it's not one detail, it's the combination of events that makes something stand out. So, Seminole War, thank you for taking the time to write in and for sharing both of those experiences. Whether it was curiosity, coincidence, or something we still don't fully understand, your account adds another piece to the bigger picture. Alright, so if you have your own story, or if you know of someone who has a story or an encounter to share, please email me at squatchranger@gmail.com. I'd love to take your report, add it to our exciting, growing database of No Bro, and feature you on this program. Alright, it's now time for the episode breakdown of Eyes in the Dark and Voices in the Daylight, episode 64. In this episode, we're going to examine 3 unsettling reports spanning decades and multiple states, all tied together by one chilling theme: the moment when witnesses realize they are no longer alone. The episode opens with a modern Class A nighttime sighting from Pittsburgh County, Oklahoma, where a man reports seeing 2 large creatures outside his trailer window. As his dog reacts violently and the tension builds, this encounter raises serious questions about proximity, intent, and the emotional impact of close-range sightings. Next, we will step back nearly a century to the 1920s to 1930s in Bollinger County, Missouri, near what is now the Mark Twain National Forest. In this Class C second and third person account, a man traveling a dirt road becomes aware of something that is following him through the woods, keeping pace just out of sight. Though historical in nature, the details echo patterns still reported today, suggesting these encounters may be part of a much older, ongoing phenomenon tied to the deep forest corridors. And finally, the episode closes with a daytime Class A sighting from Washington County, Arkansas, where 2 Boy Scouts hear unexplained vocalizations and briefly observe a dark, upright creature in the early 1970s. Unlike many reports that rely solely on sound or fleeting movement, this case combines both auditory and visual elements, making it one of the more compelling youth witness encounters covered on the show. Together, these cases challenge assumptions about time, location, and visibility, and continue to build the larger picture of what may be moving through our forests, roads, and backyards. Number 1. Man sees 2 creatures outside of trailer house window. 2024. Southeast District, Pittsburgh County, Oklahoma. Class A nighttime sighting. My son is 1/4 Choctaw, and he lives in a trailer park. Lots of woods around there, and last night he said he left dog food out by the front door in the window area. He said his dog started going ballistic, growling, snapping, and jumping, trying to get out the door. He said he looked out the window and there were 2 human-sized creatures, covered in fur, partaking of the dog food. He said it scared him to death. They were growling, but then they left because he didn't do anything. He didn't try to open the door to investigate. He lives by himself. He is a left leg amputee in a wheelchair. I would like to know if there really is something out there. His dog went ballistic, he said. Before he saw anything, the dog could already smell them or hear them. NOBRO investigators report. A nighttime Class A sighting was reported involving 2 unknown human-sized, fur-covered creatures observed outside a trailer residence in a wooded area of Pittsburgh County, Oklahoma. The primary witness observed the creatures at close range through a window while they were actively consuming dog food left outside the residence. The incident was accompanied by intense canine distress behavior prior to visual confirmation. The primary witness is an adult male residing alone in a trailer park surrounded by significant woodland. He is a left leg amputee and wheelchair user, limiting mobility and ability to investigate externally. The report was submitted by a concerned family member seeking clarification and confirmation regarding the nature of the encounter. The witness has Native American ancestry, Choctaw, approximately 1/4. Though no cultural interpretation of the event was offered by the witness at the time of reporting. According to the witness, dog food had been placed outside near the front door and window area of the trailer. During the night, the witness's dog began exhibiting extreme agitation, including growling, snapping, barking, and physically attempting to exit the residence. The witness reported that the dog's behavior began prior to any visual observation, suggesting the animal detected the presence of something outside through scent or sound. Upon looking out the window, the witness observed two human-sized creatures standing outside near the dog food. The creatures were described as covered in fur, approximately human-sized, growling while consuming the dog food. The witness stated the encounter caused intense fear. He did not open the door or attempt to confront the entities. After a brief period, the creature left the area on their own. No vocalizations beyond growling were reported. No aggressive attempt to enter the residence was observed. The witness's dog displayed a strong and sustained defensive response, growling and snapping, attempting to force its way outside, heightened agitation prior to visual confirmation. Such reactions are commonly reported in proximity encounters involving unknown wildlife or anomalous entities and are considered a significant corroborative behavioral indicator. Several elements elevate this report to a Class A sighting. Direct visual observation. The witness clearly observed two distinct, upright, fur-covered entities at close range. Multiple subjects. The presence of two creatures reduces the likelihood of misidentification of common wildlife. Corroborative animal behavior. The dog's intense reaction prior to visual confirmation suggests an external stimulus detectable by heightened senses. Proximity to residence. The account occurred immediately outside the witness's home, increasing observational reliability. Non-provoked behavior. The creatures were reportedly feeding and growling but did not escalate toward the residence, consistent with scavenging behavior documented in similar reports. The wooded environment and southeast Oklahoma's history of reported encounters support the plausibility of anomalous activity in the area. This case meets the criteria for a Class A nighttime sighting involving two unidentified, fur-covered, human-sized creatures observed at close range. While no physical evidence was recovered, the consistency of the account, corroborative canine behavior, and environmental context warrant the report being retained as a credible encounter with no-bro records. Further monitoring of the area is recommended. Residents should be advised not to leave food sources outside and to document any further activity, including tracks, sounds, or visual observations. Number 2. Creature follows man on dirt road near Mark Twain National Forest. Between 1920 and 1930. Bollinger County, Missouri. Class C, second, third-person story. I believe my great-grandfather encountered one in Bollinger County, Missouri, back in the 1920s to 1930s. He left my grandma's house after dark one night before they were married. He didn't have a lantern, but walked the road frequently. Back then it was a dirt road. About halfway home, something came out of the woods crawling on the ground behind him. It was light enough in color that he could see it in the dark. The woods there are thick, and it's near the Mark Twain National Forest. He said it would crawl behind him, and then he'd turn around slowly to look at it, and it would stand up. He would take steps, and it would also take bipedal steps, matching his footsteps. He'd turn back around, and it would get back down to crawl behind him. He described it as having fur, and it was also over 6 foot tall. I don't remember him saying if it smelled at all or made any noise. He said he felt that if he ran, it would chase him and kill him. He said it wasn't a bear, and mountain lions don't move like that. I believe what he saw was a Bigfoot. Other stories. Back in 2009, me and a group of about 30 to 40 of my family members were camping at Sam A. Baker. We went up to Graves Mountain to stargaze. We kept hearing a strange hyena cackling sound. It started to move closer, and my mom said she kept hearing snaps in the woods, like something was moving nearby. She said she heard what she thought was rocks being thrown. My uncles who hunt and are familiar with animal sounds couldn't identify it. I searched and searched for years online for a similar sound, and finally heard something similar to an alleged Bigfoot video in the Pacific Northwest. It sounds identical to what we heard. There have also been reports of a skunk ape in either a conservation area or state park near Poplar Bluff. I can't remember the name of it, but you can probably search it. There are alleged photos of the skunk ape at this location. Momo up near Louisiana, Missouri. All these locations are in or near the Mark Twain National Forest. Follow up. NOBRO Investigators Report. This report documents a historical Bigfoot encounter alleged to have occurred in Bollinger County, Missouri during the 1920s to 1930s, involving the witness's great-grandfather. The primary encounter is supported by later generational experiences reported by family members in nearby locations within the Mark Twain National Forest region, including Sam A. Baker State Park, Graves Mountain, and other southeastern Missouri areas with known Bigfoot lore. The behaviors described are consistent with known Bigfoot encounter patterns, including bipedal mimicry, intimidation following, vocalizations, wood knocks or snapping sounds, and possible rock throwing. The witness was walking home from his future wife's residence after dark, without a lantern, along a dirt road he traveled frequently. Approximately halfway through his walk, he became aware of something emerging from the woods and crawling behind him. Key observations include: the entity was light enough in color to be visible in low light conditions. It appeared fur-covered. When the witness slowly turned to look at it, the creature would stand upright. When the witness resumed walking, the creature would also walk bipedally, matching his steps. When the witness turned around forward again, the creature would drop back down and crawl behind him. Estimated height, over 6 feet tall when standing. The witness stated he felt a strong instinct that running would trigger a pursuit and likely result in death, leading him to maintain a calm, steady pace until reaching safety. The witness explicitly ruled out known wildlife, such as bear, ruled out due to movement pattern and behavior. Mountain lions, ruled out due to size, posture, and lack of feline movement. No odors or vocalizations were recalled during this encounter. Behavioral indicators: intelligent and situational awareness, mimicry of bipedal movement, psychological intimidation rather than direct attack, ability to switch quadrupedal and bipedal locomotion. These traits are frequently reported in credible Bigfoot encounters. The reporting party later discovered audio recordings from the Pacific Northwest attributed to alleged Bigfoot vocalizations that matched the sounds heard during this second report incident almost identically. While no physical evidence is currently available due to the historical nature of the primary encounter, the following factors increase the credibility of this report: multi-generational consistency, detailed behavioral description rather than vague imagery, lack of embellishment or sensationalism, correct elimination of known wildlife, correlation with regional Bigfoot hotspots, known Bigfoot behaviors such as stalking, vocalizations, bipedal mimicry, and intimidation tactics. The crawling/following behavior, followed by upright posture, is rarely associated with hoaxes and is more reported in deeply unsettling, genuine encounters. This case represents a credible historical Bigfoot encounter supported by later regional activity and family testimony. While unconfirmed, the behaviors described align strongly with known Bigfoot reports across North America. Bollinger County and surrounding areas of southeastern Missouri remain areas of high interest for continued research and documentation. Number 3. Two Boy Scouts hear vocalizations and see dark creature. 1970 to 1971. Washington County, Arkansas. Class A, daytime sighting. This happened in 1970 or maybe 71. I was 14 or 15. My friend and I were in the Boy Scouts, and that summer we went to Arkansas to do a couple hikes for some merit badges. If I remember correctly, one of them was the Butterfield Hiking Trail. The trail started in Devil's Den State Park, and that is where we camped. When we awoke, we started the hike. Remember, this was 1970. The trail wasn't marked well, and not that heavily traveled. Our gear was rudimentary. I'm not even sure I had real boots. All our gear was pretty much Army surplus stuff. Canteens, compass, tents. We must have had a map, but I think it was not much better than a hand-drawn map. I just checked, and today it says the trail is 15 miles. It certainly wasn't then, and we had planned doing it as a day hike and just carried a canteen each, the map, and a compass. Being scouts, we probably had some sort of first aid kit we put together. There was a trailhead we could walk to when we got up in the morning, and initially the trail was pretty much well beaten down. The terrain wasn't too tough. It was a deciduous forest. Very thick underbrush. It was also summer and would get pretty hot, and there is a lot of humidity. I don't recall anything unusual or exciting for most of the hike, until the trail we were following eventually petered out. I really have no idea how far we hiked, but it was pretty hot, and it was late afternoon, I think. So, we realized we were lost on the trail, and it was probably too late to head back the way we came. While trying to figure out what to do, we believed we heard a motor vehicle in the distance off to the west. We figured getting to a road would be the best option, but in order to get there, we would have to bushwhack through dense underbrush. At least it was downhill, so we headed down the hill. Again, not sure how long or how far it was, but we broke out onto a very nice, wide, well-traveled trail. Hallelujah! We were really hot and tired from going through the brush, so we sat down to rest and drink some water. We were both relieved to at least find a well-traveled trail. We could also hear what we thought might be a creek flowing. This is where things got weird. While we were resting, we heard something in the bush, just up the slope not too far away, call out. The best way I could try to describe it was like some sort of monkey or ape yell. Just after that yell, we heard a tree shake and heard a thump or thud. We could see the top of the tree sway. It was a big tree. This was also upslope and not really that far away. The trail we had found pretty much ran horizontal down the slope. That is the direction we had planned on going. There was a dip in the trail and a curve that went out of visual sight. We were curious what was making the noise, and I told my friend to start down the trail, and I would hang back and stay kneeling where I was. The thought was, maybe the creature that yelped or screamed would show itself, thinking we both had taken off. My friend disappeared out of sight, and the creature we heard called out again. But this time another creature further down the trail where my friend went yelled back. I couldn't see anything through the brush, and I must have realized hanging back wasn't the best idea, so I got up and started down the trail. I then realized the trail wasn't too far from where the tree shook, and the noise was, and the scream. By this point, I was feeling pretty uncomfortable. I got to where the trail headed straight down the hill, and my friend was waiting there, and we headed down. My friend was in the lead, and as soon as we started down, I heard something running through the brush from where we had just come from. I immediately yelled at my friend to run. I wasn't sure it was running after us or not, but I looked back over my left shoulder, and I saw it running back up the trail we had just come down. Like I said, the brush was thick, and I only caught glimpses except one point where I could see its chest, shoulder, and face. I was running down the hill and looking back, and it was running up the trail and looking down at us. It's crazy, it's been almost 55 years, and I vividly remember the whole encounter. It was only glimpses. I saw black hair, The face had a sheen from the sun. It was looking at us while we were running west and into the sun. I know it was pretty tall because walking down the trail, I could not see anything downslope. This thing was tall enough to be seen and see us. The rest is anticlimactic, but I should go ahead and finish the story, I suppose. We kept running down the hill until we came out of the brush into a clearing with a herd of cattle next to the creek we heard. We thought we saw a bull, and we sprinted across the creek. Nothing had chased us, and there was also the road we had heard. A gravel or dirt road, but a road just the same. We headed north, I believe, and eventually a guy in a pickup drove by and gave us a ride to our camp. That night I remember washing my clothes at the campground laundry, and talking to a park ranger and telling about our day. He didn't think we were crazy, and said people see some pretty strange things out there. This was before the internet, and I really had not heard anything about Bigfoot sightings. And now with the internet, I read and nod my head, because I know exactly what some of these people are talking about. Like I said, I'm older, and I stayed in touch with my friend all these years, and I wanted to confirm what I remembered with him. And this is what he remembers as well. Although, when I yelled run, he did just that, and he didn't look back, so he didn't see what I saw. Again, sorry this was so long, but I felt I needed to document my story. There was mention of a baby Sasquatch, which triggered something that I had forgotten about, and I will add here. Just before the trail petered out, we stepped over a small puddle that was just mud at that point. Something caught my eye, and it took a couple of steps for my brain to tell me there was something unusual in the mud. I told my friend to hold up, and he went back to the mud spot, and there was a footprint in it. It was clearly a bare footprint. It was not a large footprint at all. It was maybe 8 to 9 inches long and fairly narrow. We were pretty much in the middle of nowhere, and who would be walking around barefoot out there anyway? We shrugged our shoulders and soldiered on. Hadn't really considered a youthful Bigfoot, but thinking about it now, maybe it was. We heard two once we bushwhacked down the hill. Maybe it was one of them, or maybe there were more than two? Who knows? Follow up. NOBRO Investigators Report. Based on the eyewitness statement, the encounter originated at Devil's Den State Park, which is located in Washington County, Arkansas. The Butterfield hiking trail historically extended westward toward the Lake Fort Smith area, but the trailhead and early sections, especially during the early 1970s, were firmly within the Washington County boundaries. The described westward movement downslope toward cattle pasture, creek, and gravel road is consistent with rural Washington County terrain adjacent to park lands during that time period. The primary witness and a juvenile companion were participating in a Boy Scout hiking activity during the summer months of either 1970 or 1971. Both witnesses were teenagers with limited outdoor gear, typical of the era, relying on surplus equipment, canteens, compass navigation, and a rudimentary map. Neither witness reported prior exposure to Bigfoot or Sasquatch folklore at the time of the incident. The witnesses have remained in contact for over 5 decades, and the primary witness later confirmed core details of the encounter with the second witness in adulthood. Memory consistency remained strong. The witnesses began a daytime hike along the Butterfield hiking trail after camping overnight at Devil's Den State Park. Initial trail conditions were clear, but deteriorated as the day progressed. Eventually, the trail became indistinct and appeared to terminate. Realizing they were lost, and with daylight waning, the witnesses chose to head downslope toward the sound of a distant motor vehicle to the west. After bushwhacking through the dense underbrush, the witnesses emerged onto a wide, well-traveled trail running horizontally along a slope. While resting, both heard a loud vocalization described as a monkey or ape-like yell, originating upslope at close proximity. Immediately following the vocalization, they observed a large tree violently shake, accompanied by a heavy thump or impact sound. The top of the tree visibly swayed, suggesting significant force. Moments later, a second vocalization was heard. This time, farther down the trail in the direction one witness had moved. This indicated the presence of at least two entities communicating across distance. As the witnesses attempted to leave the area, movement was heard approaching rapidly through the brush. The primary witness observed a large, upright, bipedal figure moving uphill along the trail, while the witnesses fled downhill. Due to dense vegetation, visibility was limited. However, the witness reported clear glimpses of black hair covering the body, a tall, broad chest and shoulders, a face reflecting sunlight with a noticeable sheen, height sufficient to be visible above brush and downslope terrain. The creature was observed running uphill while maintaining visual focus on the fleeing witnesses. Additional evidence: track observation. Earlier in the hike, shortly before losing the main trail, the witnesses observed a barefoot track in a muddy puddle. The length was approximately 8 to 9 inches. Narrow profile, no shoe or boot impressions, and it was located in a remote area inconsistent with barefoot human traffic. At the time, the footprint was noted as unusual, but not associated with the later encounter. In hindsight, the witness considers the possibility of a juvenile Sasquatch, especially given later vocalizations and the presence of multiple entities. This report contains multiple strong indicators consistent with Sasquatch encounters documented throughout the Ozark region. Remote wilderness location with limited human activity, daylight encounter, multiple coordinated vocalizations, tree manipulation consistent with strength beyond human capability, clear bipedal movement observed, possible juvenile track, long-term memory retention and witness consistency, and secondary witness corroboration. The park ranger's response at the time, acknowledging unusual occurrences without dismissal, further supports the credibility of the encounter. This encounter predates widespread media exposure to Sasquatch phenomena and occurred decades before internet-based folklore dissemination. The witness did not associate the experience with Bigfoot until many years later, a factor often considered a credibility enhancer in historical cases. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Squatch Ranger Files. Remember, whether you're out camping, hiking, or just exploring the great outdoors, always stay alert, stay respectful, and keep those recorders ready. You never know when the next howl, knock, or footprint might show up. If you do head out on a Squatch investigation, make sure you leave no trace. We rangers take care of the woods and keep an eye out for the mysterious creatures that roam them. Until next time, this is the Squatch Ranger signing off. Stay curious, stay safe, and keep it squatchy.